Hi, well, today in Traveling Anesthetist, we'll be talking about software programming and applications that are out there for the anesthesia community. Today we have here Joe, and Joe, I know you by Joe, but I know it's Joe Sipa. So I'm going to give you the opportunity to introduce yourself, tell me a little bit about yourself, and we'll proceed from there. But let's go with I'll let you take the stand here.
All right. So my name is Josipa Kukuchka, which is why I go by Joe. I've been a CRNA for about 8 years now. I grew up in Georgia, did my undergrad training at the University of West Georgia. A year after I graduated, I went to Colorado. I did some travel nursing over there. I was waiting for being accepted into anesthesia school. Um, it was Texas Wesleyan University, but I actually trained in Denver. It's a very big program, but we only had like 6 people in my class, so it was great. um, After graduation, I got a job in Texas. It was a W-2 position. I ended up actually not taking that, and that sent me into the 1099 world.
And look at that. And this is where you are now, the 1099 world. You're not looking
Yep,
back anymore, are you?
absolutely not.
So one of the biggest things for me that I bring to anybody who's wanting to transition to 1099 lifestyle is, what tips do you have for them? Because transition from a W-2 to 1099 can be scary, it can be frightening, you don't know what steps, you don't know
Mhm.
what resources you have. So what tips would you have for them?
So I think my first thing is like channel your inner student. That was what I kind of took when I first started. You want to be punctual, you want to offer breaks, you want to take direction. Just in general, you want to be a really great worker. Unfortunately, as a 1099 or locum, we do bear that burden of being on the chopping block first and foremost if anything happens. Thankfully, it's only happened to me once, and that was during COVID. So that was a little bit of an extenuating circumstance. But even then, I think it was maybe like 6 weeks. Excuse me. But you really just want to make sure that your work ethic speaks for itself. Um, you also want to keep your records straight. Um, you want to keep all your documents in one place, your malpractices, licenses, certifications, your case logs, all that stuff. You want to have it available because you're going to be credentialing at a lot of different places, and it's going to make the experience a lot better if you're organized with it. So keep all this accessible at all times, and just like you did when you were a student. And also, I think another main thing is flexibility. So if they're asking, can you pick up a day? Can you stay a few minutes later? Can you do call one night for whatever reason they're short? Definitely, try and help out when you can. I chose to be 1099 because I like to set my own schedule. But again, you want to stay off that chopping block. You're not on eggshells. And I know plenty of providers that make it clear that they won't do heads, they won't do hearts, they won't stay a minute past 3, they won't do overtime or take call and all this stuff. And it works for them. It's not a problem. But I like to err on the side of caution, and I like to basically butter up the facility whenever I can. That way, if I need them to butter me up sometime, they'll return that favor.
That's right. And that's exactly right. Because one of the biggest things is we're there to help facility that's short staffed. And by being there
Mhm.
flexible, we're there to support them while they have needs. And
Absolutely.
I totally agree with you with everything that you said. And one of the biggest things is work ethic. You brought the word work ethic, and work ethic
Mm.
really plays a big role uh, as a locum because you're moving from place to place. You get to meet people, they don't know you, so you really have to create that work ethic where they're going to feel safe around you, working with you, not knowing you, and actually being able to provide that services you want to do in the anesthesia world, especially when there's
Yeah.
all these surgeons and all these nurses and everything going on.
Yes, absolutely. You're trying to find out where the bathroom is. That's probably the most difficult thing on your first day.
Actually, that's the first one on my checklist. Joe, so one of the biggest things that we talk about, as we're doing locums is credentialing. Credentialing is one of the biggest steps in order for us to work in any facility we want to work at, or we choose to work at, or we take contracts in it. You did mention in our previous talk, talking about how credentialing it can be a pain. Keep track of all your case logs, all your COIs, keep track of anything that's important. in regards to the credentialing document. So I think my biggest thing for me is case logs. And I know that as I worked in different facilities, case logs have played a big role in the areas that I've worked at, whether it has been OB, pediatrics. I know that for some places where I've worked at pediatrics, they really want certain numbers for you to be able to work for certain age groups. So today's topic is, what exactly are case logs?
So case logs are the most annoying thing that you have to get from the facility. It takes forever to get them. And when you get it, it's just very underwhelming, I would say. So I've worked at about 10 different facilities and with 10 different groups, and they always need these case logs. So you have to reach out to your medical staffing office and jump through all these hoops to get the documentation for the amount of cases that you did. I've heard that you can get them yourself through the Epic electronic charting record. So I got really excited about it. I was like, hey, I'm going to try do this just recently. And of course, when I asked, they're like, no, we don't know how to do that. So I haven't met anyone who knows how to do it yet, unfortunately. So when you get, or if you get your case logs, because in some cases I've just never received my case logs, you take a look at them, you realize, well, it's just a bunch of random numbers. There's a couple dates on there. Sometimes they don't even put the name of the facility that you're doing the cases at. And then you're just like, well, this just looks like it was a waste of my time. So in reality, it is just like another piece of paper to put in your file saying that you have done some anesthesia in the past 2 years. And I think the worst part is you have to do this when you're credentialing at your new facility. And credentialing takes up to 3 months. So once you credential and you actually leave the facility, you get to go do that process all over again because you can't have 3-month gap in your case log history.
Oh yeah, definitely. You do it all over again. It's like a deja
Yeah.
vu. You do it all one thing. And one of the biggest
Oh,
things is
yes.
really realizing how important they play, in whether you get
Hmm.
privileges and, access for you to practice in a facility. And one of
Hmm.
the things is, why is it important to have these case logs?
So, as I mentioned before, when you get your logs from the facility, you kind of look at it and it's just like, well, this looks pretty useless. So, what I believe, keeping your own case logs, your case log has value to it. Now, I value my time first and foremost. I always have my case logs ready to present at the drop of a hat. There's no need to pester anyone multiple times or wait weeks to get documentation when I'm trying to credential in a hurry, which is usually the case. There's facilities that don't do, really good case logging as it is. They're just on paper. They have to literally go and pick out all these cases and set them up
Yeah,
for you. And it can take a really long time. And as a contractor, I mean, the old adage, time is money.
that's right.
Um,
And it's so true. And one of the things that you brought up is like, they're just numbers. Yeah, that's absolutely right. I've seen
yeah.
situations where it says like ortho and it gives you numbers, or the types of ortho, like it's just you don't even remember. I mean, I can't even remember which ortho
Mhm.
case it was, so it's kind of nice that, like you said, they
Mhm.
big role. And the more places you work, it's in, if you decide to do regional anesthesia, or like
Yep.
like it's important for you to
Mhm.
actually keep track of those specific numbers. And
Mhm.
I met you doing a locum work, and you're an amazing individual, and I got to work with you
Mhm.
professionally. I've gotten to meet you, personally. And one of the things that, caught my attention is that you came up with a really cool tool for anesthesia providers. And this cool tool is a tool to keep track of your case logs. So
Yeah.
tell me, what's the name of your tool? How does it work? We all want to, so tell me about it.
Absolutely. So we've just gone through a major, I guess, kind of rebuild. So it used to be a mobile app, and it was called Anesthesia Case Logs, pretty straight and simple. So we've transitioned to a web-based format, which makes it easier to deal with updates, bug fixes, things like that. We don't have to have two different versions, one for Apple, one for Android. That kind of became a hassle. So we have this new web-based platform, and it is a website, and it's called caseloggerpro.com because we're professionals now. First thing I thought when deciding to transition to the website, I knew people were going to talk about, oh no, I don't have that little icon to press for the mobile app. Like, this is going to be so difficult. Don't worry, we took that into account. You still have your nice little icon on your home screen, and you click it with one button and it opens up immediately to your logs. Logging is quicker, more efficient. So none of that has changed with the web version. And there's a bonus, you get a desktop version with it now, whereas you didn't before. But the app is very intuitive. You set up a login and you can immediately start logging your cases. Right now, you get a 1 month free, so you can test it out, see how it is. Once you've logged in, you can start adding cases. You can add a case from scratch. You can make templates, and that kind of helps you log cases that you constantly do over and over again, like endoscopy or pain cases. You can click on the template and it just pre-fills everything and you can log your case. We added a duplicate function on there, which is amazing. I did 40 pain cases last week and I was able to log all 40 of them in like 3 minutes. So again, that time is money. But there's also a couple other fun features on there where, you can enter some of your licensing data, certification data, because whenever I'm credentialing somewhere, of course, they're asking for all your license numbers, all your ACLS, BLS, things like that. And I hate having to go to the Board of Nursing website searching for my numbers and all this stuff. So there is a little profile section where you can enter information about your licenses and certifications just as a quick reference, nothing too detailed, not like your online briefcase you have that is absolutely fabulous, but just kind of a quick reference when you need access to, those numbers kind of in a hurry.
And one of the things that you brought up is like, keeping access and how easy it is, how user-friendly it is, for us busy healthcare providers that we want everything to work
Yes.
really fast, because that's what we're used to.
Yeah.
We want everything to just work super fast. Or maybe that's just me. But, one of the things that I have a question is because these credentialing bodies can be very nitpicky. They
Mhm.
have certain standards. They want things coming directly from a facility. Have you come across any issues with you submitting your case logs through your app?
So I haven't had any issues over the last 8 years, really. Of course, I guess I've only had the app for about 4, but no issues at all. I guess the closest thing to an issue that I've had is actually just recently, right now, about 2 weeks ago, I started credentialing for a facility in Georgia, and they had asked for case logs, and I asked them, I have my own case logs, can I submit them? I usually don't even ask them this. I'm not sure why I asked, but I was like, let me just ask. So I asked, and they were like, well, you have to get the facilities from your staffing office. And I was like, darn. So, okay, now I have to go reach out to my facilities. I work for 2 smaller facilities and a larger facility. The smaller facilities, their mind was blown. They're like, we have to go pull charts and basically make up a case log for you. So I loved coming in saying, no problem. I got this. Here it is. I sent it to them and they put a little signature on the bottom with a date to validate the cases. And I sent that off. Now, for my larger facilities, I figured, well, this is going to be easy. It's a larger facility. They have Epic. There's apparently a special way to, get these cases. I asked for that about 3 weeks ago, and I still have not received them. But of course, because I don't waste my time, I haven't waited 3 weeks. I waited about 3 days after I sent the second request for them. I was like, okay, I'm not going to get these. So I just went into my app and I filtered all my cases for that facility specifically. And I sent them to the facility in Georgia, and I didn't even have them sign it. And the facility accepted it. And then it hit me. I'm like, these these facilities have no idea where these case logs are coming from, because I've seen case logs from the past that I've actually gotten from facilities. There's no letterhead. There's no signature. There is nothing on there that shows this is an official document. And I mean, worst case scenario, if they question me about any of my cases, I know my cases are true. And if we have to go back and actually speak to the facility, they can confirm that I did X amount of cases while I was there. Because they don't have any other specifics about the cases. We just would have to confirm the numbers. So I've been totally comfortable turning that in. And I think in the future, I'm just not even gonna ask. I'm just gonna send my cases.
It's funny that you say that. One of the biggest things that you're absolutely right. All the case logs I've received have been from an Excel document that they've just
Yep.
been pulled over to an Excel document, and it just has like a facility name, like you said, no signature or anything. So
Mhm.
looking back into what really inspired you, what inspired you to do this app? Because this is something, all this technology is evolving and it's growing, and everybody's into all this software programming and
Mhm.
applications and resources. What inspired you to do this?
Well, what inspired me was actually frustration. Um, It was my first year out of school. I had to go through credentialing 3 times in my first year. And I was a brand new CRNA. I'm trying to learn how to be a CRNA and not a student. So, not to mention, I jumped straight into 1099 work. I was never a W 2 from the get go. So, I'm trying to learn how to set up an LLC, open a business account, find a CPA, like what's an S Corp, all these things. So, the list just went on and on. And then with each new credentialing packet, I just got more and more frustrated. And one of the big things I was frustrated about was the case logs. I was working at smaller facilities, so getting those was just absolutely horrendous if I could even get them. So I just started thinking, I wish there was a little app. There's got to be an app for this. So I started looking. I think I found 2 in the App Store that kind of did that. So I kind of checked them out and I was like, you know what? I think I could do this better. I think, with my personality, my type A personality and, my touch of OCD, I think it's perfect. I totally got this. And, I had so much time on my hands as well. So.
And it's funny you say that, a type A personality. Yeah, I know what you mean. It's like it's missing this, it needs this. It would be better with this. So it's
Right.
amazing to hear that, and taking the time and effort to do this. People don't realize the process it takes to start an app, just from the moment you try to design it to the moment
Oh,
you want
yeah.
to talk to the programming team to tell them what you exactly want and for them to understand what you really want, and then
Yeah.
testing it and then launching it. It's all these steps, and I give you kudos for taking all this effort and helping the anesthesia community, have resources and
Oh,
tools that are going to be definitely play an impact in our
mhm.
credentialing process.
Oh, absolutely. It was a little bit difficult for me because when I did present it, I was like, okay, I know how hypercritical our profession can be. And I was like, I'll just make it and just kind of slip it in there. I'm not going to promote it. If you want to use it, great. If you don't, no problem. But it's just kind of comes to the point where I'm like, you know what, even as I was, looking at these questions and thinking, why did I create this? Um, I'm just starting to think, this is a tool that we do actually need, and I value this more than my CV.
And that's absolutely right, because credentialing will put a stop on us before we get credentialed. We don't have all those specific documents like
Mhm.
COIs and case logs, which are really,
Oh yeah,
you can get a license anywhere, you can download it and all that stuff, but these nitpicky numbers, like you said, case logs are definitely on the top of the list that take longer for you to get access. And like you said, you're still waiting on the ones you requested, and you're like, why am I
yeah,
waiting to submit these? And now you already requested the ones from the facility, so in case they ask you
Mhm.
questions, by the time they ask you questions, you've already released this. You already have them handy when they send
That's
them.
right.
That's right.
Yep.
Awesome. One of the biggest things about doing locums, everybody's like, why are you doing locums? What are the benefits of locums? We all have a purpose and a reason why we do locums. All of ours are, we're in a different stages of our lives. And the reason we choose to do locums is for various reasons, whether it's finances, the flexibility to work, um, the work-life balance. My question to you is, what do you enjoy about doing locums?
I think the main thing that I enjoy about locums is the schedule. I love being able to dictate my own schedule 100% of the time. If I want to take a month off in summer, I can. Not saying that I always do that, but I do have the option that if I want to do that, I can. I remember days being in the facilities where I'm 1099 and I know today is the day all the employees have to come in and they're having a big meeting about, okay, you got to pick your holidays and you got to pick your vacations 8 months ahead of time. So I don't know about you, but I don't plan my years like that. That's a little too far in advance. And after these meetings, nobody's ever happy. I don't know how that works, but no one's ever happy. And then the whole day is spent with all the providers going around trying to find people to switch their days with, switch up vacation and all this time. And I'm just so happy that I don't have to participate in that. And I mean, that goes for weekends, nights, call. If I want to do those, I will do those. If I don't, I specify that I won't do them in my contract. So I have complete control over this. And if I do, like I don't want to do call weekends, things like that, I always try and offer something on the back end. Like I can help out, overtime during the week or stay later some days. Kind of again, that same, you scratch my back, I'll scratch yours.
And I think that's one of the biggest things about doing locums is, the way you set up your contract, knowing that, let's say you don't want to do
Mhm.
weekends, you don't want to do call, you're letting them know ahead of time, hey, I'm here to help you out, but I don't want to do call, or I cannot work
Right.
these days. So I definitely agree with you on that. And
Mhm.
this is a fun question, but I always like to ask is, what do you like to take with you during your locum assignments? Is there something specific you take with you that you're like, this is important to me, I like to take it with me, just when you're away from home?
I've learned that I can live with a lot less, than I actually really need. I just have those absolute necessities. And I guess it's kind of boring, but, I do need my laptop with me. It has all of my documentations. It has all of my communication with, my developers. I communicate with the web users on there as well. I take, 100% coverage for all of that stuff. So I mean, it's a very boring answer, but that's kind of where your life is. And every time you get a document, you got to save it, on your computer, anything about LLCs, taxes, things like that. There's a lot of stuff to keep up with when you're a 1099 or a locum, and you got to have access to that information. And it's all there on my laptop, and it's my little headquarters, and organization is key.
And especially with all this technology now, we can go away, we cannot leave our place with our phone. It's like we cannot leave our
Oh
place with
yeah,
our laptop. It's our other half now.
absolutely, absolutely.
That's awesome. Um, One last thing is it's talking about your platform and Case Logger Pro, and how do you feel it's going to benefit the locum providers and the locum community?
Well, I think, as I said before, I think it's more valuable than your CV. I mean, it's a record of every case that you have done with specifics about each case. So, this is extremely beneficial for a locums provider because you have to put your best foot forward with every contract. You're moving, you're interviewing, you're credentialing, you're trying to find the bathroom at the new hospital. Like, this is basically your life all the time. With your case logs, you don't need to spend time guessing, thinking, okay, maybe I did, 35 A lines in the last, 4 months. And no, you can look at your case logs and see, wow, I actually did 65. You don't want to sell yourself short when you're doing all these things and all these extra cases and ASA for patients. And these things can just really highlight your CV, which is why I think it's more valuable than that. And again, it's a very quick, easy way to spruce up that CV and have all that information available. And you can save time. That way, when you are on any kind of contract, you can actually enjoy your time, being a locums provider and not fussing around with documentation.
And that's absolutely right, because you want to spend more time working and finding the work life balance, and spending less time on all these credentialing documents that once you enter it, you don't have to go back and look for it. It's already in
Absolutely.
all those case logs specifically. And
Hmm.
you're an inspiration to the anesthesia community, because I feel like, coming in anesthesia world and coming into this, technology, it can be
Yeah.
difficult, especially because we speak a different language. So I can relate
Hmm.
that with you. And I really want to thank you for your time and,
Hmm.
making this tool. And I hope that many other providers, really realize that, especially if you're doing locums or doing job to job places, you really want to keep track of these numbers. And like you said, don't sell yourself short, because sometimes these case log documents that the facilities enter, I can't even see A-line setups when you place A-lines.
Hmm.
Sometimes I don't think I've actually seen it, to be honest with you. So
Oh,
uh,
no, never.
what if you do a
Mhm.
double lumen tube, like how do you keep track of that, especially
Yep.
those thoracic cases? So I want to thank you so much
Yeah.
for your time, and thank you so much for being here. And do you have anything else to say to the anesthesia community and this future CRNAs as well?
Uh, you know, um, I think it's a brand new world out there, after you finish school, you're going to hear a lot of things. Like one thing I heard was, "Oh, you're never going to have to log another case in your life," because I hated it as a student. And then, I learned really quickly. I'm like, well, that's not true. This is something that we should probably continue to do. So you're going to hear a lot of things, and over, your first like 2, 3 years, you're going to learn a lot. Take all that in stride, and it's the best career, and I would do it all over again.
Thank you so much. And I like you, I feel the same way. It's like I would totally do it all over again. But maybe I would have all these tools that are out there now that
Yeah,
I didn't have back in the day. So
absolutely.
thank you so much for your time and good luck on your platform. And I look forward to see where it takes you.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.